Video games are art, and art has a message. All art. And sometimes that message feels really important. Some people will close their eyes to it. They'll look at a metaphor and pretend that it's literal or that you can't extend it beyond the screen to the world that they live in. But they know that they're lying. Art can inspire you. It can teach you lessons, and it can open your eyes to what's going on in the world. Even if you are someone who up until now has tried to keep them closed. And if that is you, if you are someone who has been lucky enough to be able to hunker down and weather the storm right now, then I think I have a game for you to play. Half-Life is a series for right now. I've been going through my favorites list of games on Steam and trying to get 100% of all of their achievements. And I finally got back to Half-Life Alyx. And this might be a slightly hot take, but I think that VR is the correct medium for Half-Life. These games have always been about placing you in the world and rewarding your interaction with them. In the first Half-Life, they conveyed this through how they delivered the story. It unfolded itself around you, rather than happening in front of your eyes. You weren't some... Turning off my vent. In the first Half-Life, they conveyed this through how they delivered the story. It unfolded itself around you, rather than happening directly in front of your camera. You weren't some chosen one who had a direct line into every conversation. You weren't even really a hero. You were just a man trying to escape an awful situation. You would glimpse story beats through windows or over a radio. The game went out of its way to make it feel like these events would be happening whether you were there or not. You may be the player, but you are not in control. Half-Life 2 expands this through its physics and interaction. You can pick up every item, click every button, and interact with every NPC, and they all react accordingly. The world is alive, and you are just one of billions of people existing inside of it. Virtual reality feels like the natural destination of this trend. How better to place the player in the world than to do it literally? Half-Life Alyx takes all of the storytelling elements of Half-Life 1 and the physical interactions of Half-Life 2 and matures them into quite possibly the greatest gaming experience that I have ever had. Also, Half-Life 3 will be coming out on November 16th, 2026 as the flagship game for the Steam frame, where half of the levels are played in VR as Alyx and half of the levels are on flat screen as Gordon. You're welcome. Sure, man. If you have not had the chance to play Half-Life Alyx, it takes place between the first two games. Kinda. I mean, it's Half-Life, so it does weird shit. Good? It's good. It's so good. God, you just gotta play the game, man. But it does take place in City 17 during the occupation by the Combine. And more than any of the other games, I think it really gives a clear picture of what living under them was like. Similar to the first two games, Half-Life Alyx opens slow. You pick your way through apartments and city streets, just taking in the world around you. You see people, regular people, trying to go about their daily lives in a world where so much has gone wrong. There are still laundromats and playgrounds, but there's this constant sense of oppression. You see a masked police force imposing itself on the populace. You see people being beaten and searched indiscriminately. You see how the powers that be are allowing infrastructure to crumble so that they can extract just a little more value from the people they are supposed to be responsible for. And we see that not everyone has decided to roll over and take it. We see our heroes, the rebels, the people who have refused to accept the status quo of a new regime and continue to resist. The people who fight to make the world a better place for everyone. Where Half-Life 2 gives you a much bigger picture of what's going on in the world through your conversations with Dr. Breen or your interactions with overseers, Half-Life Alyx gives you a much more pedestrian view of their society. Alyx doesn't need that exposition. She lives here. This is her world. And that world is trying to tell us something. I feel like I need to talk a little bit about the difference between realism and immersion, because that seems to be something that was lost on a few folks when I made my video about Ark Survival Ascended. Realism in graphics can be good and fine and immersive, but it becomes a very fine line. The more realistic something looks, the more realistically you expect that thing to react. And when the gap between how realistic something looks and how realistic it reacts gets too wide, your immersion breaks. This becomes an even larger problem in VR because the player can literally reach out and touch everything. If something looks like it should be interactable and it isn't, that will instantly break your player's immersion. Flaws in physics or textures that might be forgivable on a flat screen become massive problems in VR. And somehow, Half-Life Alyx seems to have managed to do literally everything right in that regard. I usually hate throwing things in VR, because I'm really good at it in real life. Little League baseball player over here. When you're throwing something in VR and it's just based on when you release the controller, you don't get that, like, flick of the fingers that you could usually use to aim where it's going. In games like Gorn, or Budget Cut, or Blade and Sorcery, when I throw something, it never quite ends up where I wanted it. But somehow in Half-Life Alyx, it always does. When I want to throw a grenade, or a bottle, or this fuck-ass gnome that I've been lugging around for the achievement, it just works. Thank you, Todd. And it working like that, without me having to think about it or change my form, is so important for my immersion. And, like, the gravity gloves? Oh my god, do I love the gravity gloves! One spot where VR often suffers for immersion is when you are trying to pick up one small specific item that is surrounded by other small items. Like when you're trying to grab something off of a shelf. But if you want your world to be laid out immersively, then you're gonna have to put things on shelves. And the gravity gloves kind of solve this problem. They solve so many of the immersion-breaking interactions that you can have in VR. Don't want to have to reach into a shelf and grab something? Use the gravity gloves. Don't want to have to bend down with a toaster strapped to your face? Use the gravity gloves. Don't want to have to walk 3 steps to the side in order to grab something that you need over here? Use the gravity gloves. It rocks! I have some pretty mixed feelings about puzzles in games. Like, I love a puzzle that will make you stop and think in real life. But in a game, they can so often feel forced in. They can ruin the pacing of a game if they take the player too long, or they can get boring and annoying if they're too easy, or worst of all, they can get repetitive. Like, what even is the point of these goddamn claw doors in Skyrim? What are we doing? Why is there a combination and a key if the combination is on the key? Like, if you just have the combination, Doesn't matter, you can't do anything with the door. But if you have the key, then it is impossible to not also have the combination. There's no point to it. What are we doing? It doesn't add anything. The puzzles in Half-Life Alyx seem to find a really sweet spot for me. I don't know, this is a really subjective opinion. There's a ton of repetition in the types of puzzles, but no two puzzles that you do are ever the same. It's like doing the Wordle. People can do the Wordle every day because learning the strategies and mechanics of it is rewarding. You can improve. And I got the same feeling while doing all the little hacking mini-games in Half-Life Alyx. You might fail once or twice at the start while you're learning the mechanics and the rules, but once you get it, every puzzle is just as rewarding as the last. They never stall you for so long that the pacing of the game is affected, and as soon as they start to get so easy as to be boring, the game ups the difficulty of the puzzles. It's a really great system. And the game's non-repeatable puzzles are so well integrated into the core of the game. I never walked up to a puzzle and recognized it as a puzzle. I would find the thing and then start messing with it and be halfway to a solution before I even realized that I was interacting with a puzzle. The ones that stood out to me the most were the ones that you have to do while dealing with Jeff. Both because that level just rocks, and because the puzzles were good. Having to control his movement with sound while you crank a wheel or solve electrical puzzles. Using your gravity gloves to catch objects that are falling before they hit the ground and alert him. It's so rewarding. I don't think that I even clocked these as puzzles on my first playthrough. It just felt like I was navigating the world. All of these elements that you are using to solve the puzzles, throwing things, catching with your gravity gloves, or bottles that break, they've all been here the whole time. The game introduced you to each of the elements that you would need to solve these puzzles long before they would ever become relevant. And by doing that, they're able to seamlessly glide you into the puzzles without you recognizing them. They didn't need a tutorial telling you that bottles can break or that cranking a gate is going to make a lot of noise, because the game is designed in such a way that you intuitively get it. Something that I really valued in the Half-Life games is that Gordon doesn't talk. A shocker, I know, if you've watched any of my other videos. But that gave me some pause going into this game. Alyx does talk. And especially in a game in VR, if the character that you are playing says something, then it feels like the game is putting those words in your mouth. But they ended up executing it incredibly well. Alyx isn't some quippy super soldier who can handle anything. She is young and naive and scared. Just as scared as you. I bet it helped that I was the same or a very similar age to the character at the time that I first played the game. But there were so many moments in this game where Alyx and I would say the same thing at the same time, or use different words to express the same emotion. It was honestly incredible, and I have no idea how Valve managed to pull that off. The player and the character are going through the same journey over the course of the game. Literally. I mean, Alyx doesn't even have her own gun at the start. She has to get a loaner from Russell. You are both seeing these horrors and exploring these areas for the first time. Taking a life for the first time. It's a really special game, man. Before setting out, she doesn't know if she can do this. She doesn't know if she can make a difference, and she doesn't know if she's going to be coming back. But she does it anyway. Because if she doesn't resist, if we don't resist and try to improve our world, then who will? Half-Life is a series about the world, about our world. Every element of how the game is designed acts to make you feel like you don't matter at all. From the atmospheric storytelling of the first game to the time jump between the first and second, you are just one member of the cast. Just one single person in a massive world doing your best to make a difference. Surrounded by powers with indiscernible motives and much more influence than yourself. But you are still here. You still have power, and you still have a choice. The choice to pick up your crowbar, stand up against the powers that be, and do your best to make the world a little bit better of a place to live. Thanks. Bye. And fuck ice.